And get my phone set up here. All right, we got a few more joining in. All right. Alright, so remember, once we start on this, I believe we're on, we should be on flat reverse. So that is going to send us up a little climb to start with. So take it nice and easy. No reason to hammer the pace from the beginning. Just nice and chill. The idea is to get warmed up, and then we'll practice our bad techniques, and then we'll move over to the good techniques. Alright, we got 10 of us on right now. It's like an ever-growing group. Got a handful of people watching. Thanks Shay and Chris for the likes on the stream. Yeah, my avatar looks like he's got really muscular legs. So after the event, you will see the write-up on zwiftblog.com. And then you'll see the, on the Team ODZ's page, you'll see a link to it as well. And I do the write-up, so you'll be able to get a recap of what we did in case something wasn't clear or you just want a refresher. Ideally, no one is so hypoxic that they won't remember, but sometimes there's a few things you wanted to go back to. And you can always come back to Zwift Live by ODZ and check out the video that we have going right now. All right, about 4 more minutes. All right, fairly good sized group in our Discord chat as well, so it's good. Alright, so for those of you who are listening in, we're going to be covering, I'll repeat what I went over earlier, we're going to be covering a couple of techniques that many of us make that are mistakes, and we're going to cover 2 good techniques, or 2 techniques to handle 2 types of sprint finishes. The techniques we're going to go over that are the poor techniques and the mistakes is our overgearing or undergearing for a sprint. We'll do some representation of that. We'll do some practice of what not to do so you can feel it. And then we're going to move into the 2 techniques, or the 2 situations we're going to prepare for. One is a sprint from speed, meaning that you're in a bunch sprint or a field sprint, a larger group, and so you're holding a fast pace and you're sprinting out of that. The second version that we're going to do is more from the tactical game, meaning that you're in a breakaway with a very small group, and you've slowed down quite a bit. They're 2 different techniques because they're different gearings, and they're going to favor different types of riders. So we'll talk about that as we get into it. But that's what we can expect. We'll be sprinting periodically during the ride. And when I ask you to sprint, I'll tell you for how long to sprint. Then we'll ease up and we'll group back up. Usually we group back up at a 1 to a 1.5 depending on the spacing. The user says the Castelli kit is comfy. It is very comfy. I'm wearing my ODZ Castelli kit. Love it. Alright, we got about a minute left before we start. Remember, let's not go out like crazy people. We go out nice and steady, nice and smooth. 1.5 max. We want to keep the group very tight. We want to keep it very bunched up. And then we'll start our class once we get a little bit of warm up in. Alright, so when we're doing our warm-up here, what I want you guys to do is I want you to move up and down in the group, move around. It's a small group, so moving back and forth from the front to the back should be easy. I have the big beacon over my head, and I have SDR leader in my name, so just stay near me. Alright, so if you're up at the front, up past Blake and those, I'm going to ease off just a touch. I want to make sure we got the group together. Very nice. What I want you guys to do is make sure you're not holding one position. The idea is feel what it takes to move forward, drop to the back, move your way to the front again, feel what it's like being on the front, trying to maintain a consistent position, and then slide back. We got a few minutes to warm up, so we'll get at it from there. I don't want to put anyone under much duress at this point. Try and keep it under 2 at the front. Again, we're not trying to drop anybody. Adam and John, thanks to the like. All right, folks, easy at the front. Alright, so those in the back with me, once we get over the first couple little climbs, I'll help bring it back together. That's going to be pretty easy. Alright, so a couple things I'm going to talk about, then I'll type it up as we get going through this. Just remember, as we're talking about with our sprints, yeah, the sprint is really your ability to get maximum power into the pedals for as long as you can hold it. So, what does that mean? Well, That means you have to have an efficient gearing strategy, an efficient gearing plan. Too often, and again, I've fallen victim to this many times, we have our gearing just a little bit off. What does that mean? Well, it means as we start our sprint, we start going at it, maybe we have too hard of a gear in, so we're not very efficient. We're burning a lot of energy trying to ramp up our sprint, okay? So we're sitting there mashing the crap out of the pedals, and we're just not being very efficient. We're burning a lot of energy, but we're just not getting the power translated through because our cadence is too low. On the flip side, you've also probably done the start your sprint, realize you're in too low or too easy of a gear, and before you know it, you're spinning out at 130 RPMs. We don't want to do that. You don't want to do that bouncing because that's, again, inefficient. So we're going to work today on trying to find that right gear. Now, if we're a pro, probably going to be the right gears all the way down to the right on the cassette. We're not pros though. So what does that mean for us? It means a lot of times we're going to have to shift in the middle of our sprint. But you want to minimize that because shifting with a lot of power to the chain is what leads to skips, breaks, and drop chains. That's why if you see in the pro peloton the guys are dropping a chain, in the middle of their sprint, it's because they were shifting and their gears were under duress, so the chain was under duress, and it doesn't work quite as well. That's what that's about. So we're going to try and work on alleviating that. Alright, since we're mostly together here, we're going to try and close this back up. I'm going to type some of this out, and then we're going to get at it in the next couple of minutes. Alright, so the first drill we're going to do is going to be the mashing gear. So when I say go, which is going to be for a little bit, I'm going to have you shift. We'll shift beforehand. When I say go, you're going to sprint. The idea is we'll be at probably 3 or 4 gears harder than what we should. And when I say to sprint, you're going to have to get out of the saddle and you're going to feel that you're going to do all kinds of effort to try and ramp yourself up to a speed. And you're going to see how inefficient that is. Now, it's going to be an exaggeration, and we're going to cap the top end of it. But the point is to show you how inefficient that can be, so we automatically know from feel that we're not in the right gear, so we make the correct shift ahead of time. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, I'm going to take silence as consent or agreement. And we'll get into our drill here in a minute. I'm going to finish typing it up to the group, and we're going to start in about just under 3 minutes. All right, good. Let's keep the group nice together. It's a small group, but I think we have a pretty good little group together here. Let's try not to get anyone off the front too far. So in about 45 seconds, I'm going to have you shift to your much harder gear. So I still want you to hold 1.5 watts per kilogram. So that's going to drive down your cadence. That's the idea. So we're going to go ahead and get to there at 9:30. So you have a few seconds to pedal at that harder or the lower RPM. All right, let's go ahead and shift to that harder gear. You can see I'm shifting. All right, I'm still down in that low, in that 1.5-ish to 1.2. I'm in my mid-50s. All right, let's go ahead and sprint. Get it up there, pedal it up, get it up to 5, and now start trying to work it up at 5 to get it to a normal RPMs. You should feel, if you're seated or not, you should feel how hard it was. All right, ease off, let's regroup. You should feel how hard that was just to get it going. We're gonna do it again with no cap, but I want you guys to really take note. How hard was it to get it ramped up to even a remotely doable cadence? And how much effort and sideways movement did you have to do to get it to do that? It's not very efficient. So we're gonna do it one more time, but we're not gonna be capped. I'm gonna want everybody to come out of the saddle and make it like a legit sprint. So we're gonna do about 15 to 20 seconds. We're not going to start for another minute or so here. I want to try and group back up. All right, so again, let's focus on, while we're doing this, how long does it take you to get to normal cadence and an effort? So that normal sprint cadence, how long does it take you to get up there? We're going to see later on that you can do it much more efficiently in a much smarter manner. So we're going to go at 13, we'll shift. All right, thanks for joining us, Justin. So at 13 minutes, we're going to shift to the harder gear. And again, starting at that 55 RPMs. All right, go ahead and shift up. Get set, we're going at 13:15. And go. So you can notice I'm having to bounce. Oh, see, chain under duress right there. I'm having to bounce a lot more side to side. Been going for a good bit. And I'm just getting up to an RPM that works. Okay. My chain did not like that. So if you're at the front, 1.2 to 1.5. When I get everyone caught back on, we're going to move to the next drill because I want to have maximum time for us to practice our good technique. All right, I got Dickie and Scuba Steve with me. Wah. All right, grab a quick drink. All right, so for... Yeah, go ahead. What's up, Chris? All right, so for drill number 2, we're going to be focused on starting at too high of a cadence, too easy of a gear. So at the 18-minute mark, we're going to shift all the way to our easiest gear. Then we're going to try to start our sprint from the easiest gear. It's not going to be very pretty, I'll tell you that much. You're going to spin out real soon, and you're going to be bouncing. Again, do I expect you to ever try and do this in a real race? No, absolutely not. We're trying to show you what not to do. And I wouldn't expect most of you would start a sprint from there. But I'll tell you from experience, when you're caught up in the race, you think you're in a good gear, and maybe you're not because you're just on a slight incline and your sprint is on a flat or slight decline, and you open up and you're okay, but as soon as you get to a decisive point, you're overgeared, you're undergeared, and then a guy catches you from behind, the lady catches you from behind, comes over the top because they're using an efficient gear. That's happened to me a couple times. It's not fun. Alrighty. So you got 40 more seconds, just under 40 seconds, and we'll make our shift. Sounds like Chris is in a race right now.
I'm trying to get my mic right.
Oh, okay.
Too loud.
It's alright, so folks in the back.
It's not me.
Oh, okay. So folks in the back, let's go ahead and close it down. Alright, I see Chris finally right there in front of me. Oh, you were able to join late using that feature?
Wait.
Alright, make your shift to your easiest gear. You should note you're already at a fairly high RPM, fairly high cadence. So that's going to make our sprint very interesting. And let's go. Go ahead and get your 20-second sprint in. Go. So you'll notice it's very difficult even to get up to that 5.0 because you're spinning out. So now we all look like a bunch of silly people with really fast legs. And you're probably bouncing up and down in your saddle. All right, ease off. That was not very effective. I think everyone could see that. So we're gonna do on the second iteration of this is I'm gonna let you go wild. Lowest gear, easiest gear. You gotta stay in that easiest gear, but you can go as fast and as hard as you can for 25, 30 seconds. You'll see you're not gonna get a whole lot better than what you just did. So let me type it out and we'll get at it for this interval. Yeah, this should not be comfortable. So when you do this, you're gonna spin out. It's just not gonna feel right. I'm telling you that right now. So I think we're more or less back together. Going at 20, 30. 4, 3, 2, 1. And go. Let's go. Take it out of the saddle. You can see your legs are going to get going. (140 RPMs so you can get on top of that. And ease off. Anybody get over 140?
Yep.
Good. So then you look silly just like I did. All right. Let's try and link it back together. 1.2 at the front. All right, so Bike Ninja's booing us. Now, so Corey, we're going to be shifting now. That was just to show mistakes that people make. A lot of times, you get in the sprint, you forget to shift, you either spin out, or you're mashing your gears from the start, so you're just not efficient. That's what we're just trying to show there with that first 10 minutes, 12 minutes of class. Now we're going to get into what you should do. All right, so I'm going to talk you guys through it, and then I'll type it out as we go through this. So when you're working on the sprint, we're going to first work on sprinting from speed, okay? Sprinting from speed is, again, you're with the group, you're with a big enough size group that everyone's going full gas in the last couple kilometers. That means you're already at your limit, okay? So what you have to work on is, how do you appropriately pick your gearing? How do you select when to start? Well, all we're going to work on today is how to pick your gearing. We'll do other days where we pick when we start. We did that a little while ago, and we'll address it again later. So, what we really want to look at is, if we're going to be in a gear to sprint, we're already holding 85 to 95 RPMs as we are approaching where we want to start. What do you think we're probably going to have to do?
Downshift.
You're going to have to shift to a harder gear at some point. Maybe not right away. It depends when you launch your sprint and what terrain you're on. But let's just start with it's a flat sprint, okay? Yeah, you're going to need to downshift and then quickly ramp up. Or upshift, whatever you want to call it. Shift to a harder gear. Shift right on the cassette. So, I'm going to catch back on here. Let me grab Dickie and Scuba Steve and we'll catch back on.
Yeah, the course took me up the mountain. I'm just doing all the drills on the other side of the course.
No worries. No worries. We're just in the S's right now. All right, good. Everyone's actually waiting for us. That's mighty nice of everybody. I did not get a picture, unfortunately, of that 143 RPMs I was just doing. Okay, so let me type a little bit out here and then we'll go back to some more discussion. All right, let's try and group back up a little bit. All right, I got it rolling, man. You still good? Steady rolling, man.
Still good.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna pull the couple I have on my wheel back up to the bunch, and we'll get at it. We'll get at our next sprint. All right, so like I just typed there, when I say to get to speed, we're gonna go to 3.0. That's gonna be our speed. And we're gonna sprint at the 5.0 level. So what I'm gonna want is when I get us to speed and I tell you to get ready to sprint, I want you to click it up 1 or 2, come out of the saddle. When I say go, get it up to 5 quickly, hold it for 10 to 15 seconds, then we're gonna ease off. And then we'll do it again with the full run after that. All right, let's go ahead and get the speed. Let's get to our 3.0. Now we're gonna hold this for a few seconds. We've got to close that gap a little bit. Come on, Sigler. All right, go ahead and get set. Shift it up, 1 or 2. Wrist slightly raise up. And go. 15 seconds. You should have gotten up to 5 right away. Bam, bam, right there. All right, ease off. Okay, so if you're up at the front, go ahead and ease off to a 1.2. I'm gonna try and pull some folks back. All right, so what you should have felt there was more of a quick jump and a hold. Why? Again, you need to get that explosion to get away and get around the people in front of you. But you don't need to, it's not such a big ramp up. You need to get to your top end like that, and you should already be close if you're sprinting from speed. So this time we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna sprint from speed at 3.0, because that's, for some people, that's gonna be their max that they can hold. And then we're gonna go nuts for 10 seconds. I want you to explode, and in that 10 seconds, get yourself maxed out. And then at 10 seconds, you sit up. So you're gonna hit that max power, max 10 seconds, and ease off to a 1.0. Why? Because again, later on, we're gonna do a little bit more of this, and I don't wanna crush anyone's legs yet.
Cue evil laugh. Evil elf.
There's no evil laugh. I mean, I'm telling you what I'm gonna do. There's no hiding anything. Alrighty, let me get the, I think we're coming back on a little bit here. Alright, get up to speed, 3.0. Just hold it. Get set. And go. So I just did not make a good shifting choice right there. All right, ease off. Good job, Scuba Steve. All right, 1.0 at the front. Want to let some of the folks on the back catch back up without having to shatter themselves. All right, need the folks at the front to settle a little bit. We got some folks chasing on. We want to make this so everyone gets to play as best as possible. Grab a quick drink if you need it. All right, we got 3 seconds. Come on, guys, at the front. All right, it's right here. We got Dickie's coming on. He's hard charging at us in a cardi, so we want to give him some chance to catch on. All right, so the next one we were talking about is the KG tactical sprint, and that's where you're coming to the line with just a couple people, and so everyone slows down, trying to see who's going to do what when. So you lose almost all of your momentum, and you have to go. This is a different sprint than what we just did. This is that explosive power sprint. Not in the guy who can ramp it up, the lady who can ramp it up really, really fast. Not that quick burst and hold. This is all about very steep, sharp ramp up from nothing. It's a lot more power than what we saw doing the last sprint. It's actually more of how I set my gearing last time, which was bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to speed, which is going to be our 3.0. And then when I say go KG, we're going to drop down to 1.5. And then when I'll say get set and go. And get set means you're going to have to get up out of the saddle. You shouldn't need to shift gears because you should be in the gear for that 3.0. Now the difference is you're going to start your sprint and you're going to explode. You're going to ramp up. You're going to need to shift at least once. The idea is hold that top end, get into a higher RPMs and shift. So you don't want to shift at that 65 to 75 RPMs or 75 to 80 because that's putting a lot more strain on the chain. What we really want to be able to do is just shift when there's tension on the chain, but not a lot. It's not overly tense. We don't want it to skip, we don't want it to pop, and we sure don't want it to break. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, good. Let me type it out, and we'll get started.
Well, that wasn't very evil.
He's trying hard. He was catching on. All right, let's get to speed. 3.0. Oh, don't worry. We still have 20 minutes left, Chris.
Yeah, but you can't see what I'm doing.
I probably don't want to see what you're doing.
No, you don't.
All right, let's get to speed. Our 3.0. All right, go tactical. Down to your 1.5. Get set, out of the saddle. And go. Eight, 9, and 10. All right, so one of the techniques I learned with the making the shift during the sprint is that as I shift while I'm sprinting, I slightly ease the pressure on the pedals. And when I say slightly, I mean really minimal lift, but just enough to give a little relaxation to the chain to make its move. So as soon as I feel that jump, the pressure's right back on it. So don't hold that hardest effort you can on the chain. You don't want it to pop or snap. And you also don't want to go too easy. You don't want to stop pedaling or make it a real soft pedal. You just a very slight lift to the pressure. All right, let's get to speed. All right, get yourself in a good gear. 3.0. I like to see everybody bunching up at the front. That's really good. They've been listening to other classes. Hold your 3.0. All right, get tactical. Down to your 1.0. Get set. And go. All right. So I'm up in my 100. See, I just took a little bit of pressure off my legs when I made that shift. I'll do it one more time for you. Right there. All right. Ease off. Anybody drop a chain? Anybody have any weird shifting issues?
Some liquid came out of my eyes.
Liquid came out of your eyes? Well, that could be a lot of things, Chris. Chain drop. Bike Ninja said the chain dropped him. You gotta love that. So we're gonna go back to sprinting for speed at the start finish line. So we're gonna regroup. I'm gonna get us up to 3.0. We're gonna hold that until we start our sprint. Thanks, Horan, for the ride on. Camille, the next one will be next Wednesday, actually, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Same place. Well, actually, we'll be in London next week, but if you're on your computer, it's the same place. Okay, so we're gonna bring the group back together. We're gonna go nuts, but I'm gonna hold when you can start to. I'm gonna hold your starting point for the sprint, because what I don't want is anyone just riding off at a 6.0 from way off, just saying, hey, I took a sprint, when they weren't actually sprinting, they were just riding a hard pace. So we're gonna get together. We're gonna lift the pace to a 3.0. We're gonna start our sprint. No one can go until we're within 400 meters. I want to kind of make this fair for people who are still new to sprinting. We don't need any laborios going on here. Yeah, the 2K sprints.
That's a breakaway, sir.
Not for him. So, Sturman asked the best RPM to start at. I like to start my sprints at 80. It's hard enough that I still have a lot of high-end range on my cadence, but it's low enough to be able to give me some good resistance for the torque. Oh, I think I just had a drop. That's awesome. I'm riding by myself.
I've been by myself for a while.
And we're back. I'm back. All right. I'm back in the group. All right, so let me get back in the group here, and we'll. All right, Corey, we got you on, good. Okay, let's get up to speed. All right, let's stay together, let's keep it tight. All right. Oh, I don't want that. Thanks, John Mora, for the like on the stream. All right, we got a small group here together. This should be nice. Looks good right there. Let's hold our 3.0. Nice and tight. Remember, the tighter you stay, the better a draft you get and the better of a slingshot you're going to get on this. You don't want to be in the very back, but you also don't want to be at the very front. That's where that tactical game comes in. And every time we change pace a little bit at the front, the folks in the back feel it quite a bit. So if you see where I am in this, I'm real close to the front, but I'm not on the front, making other folks do some work. Now, I'm not a sprinter, so normally it's actually me on the front doing the work for someone behind me, but same concept. All right, let's keep the pace high. All right, good. This is going to be our last sprint of the evening. After this, we'll be just cooling down. We'll rehash everything we went over. I'll cover a little bit of that now while we're closing in on the sprint. So one of the things two things we discussed today were what not to do and what to do. What not to do, two aspects we covered were too high gearing or too low gearing. Remember, if you're geared too hard, when you try to start your sprint, you're just inefficient and you're having to expend a lot of energy trying to ramp up and get the cadence going to provide the correct power in the most efficient manner to the bike to propel you forward. So you have to practice and figure out what works best for you. The opposite side's the same thing. If you're too easy of a gear, you spin out too soon, or you have to shift too many times. And the more times you have to shift, the more opportunities you have to drop your chain. We don't really want that. That's bad. You just can't sprint very well without a chain in your bike. So you have to be very cognizant of that. And you have to notice real quickly when you're starting to move out of your comfort level for your cadence and when you're starting to come up on the spin out side so you can start shifting well in advance. That's where the numbers on Zwift are great because it's right on your TV. A lot of times in a race we're not looking down, we're actually eyes closed at that point sprinting. We're looking around trying to figure out where our opponents are. So those are the two things we went over today of not to do. The things we talked about doing, one in the sprint from the group or sprint from speed is about placing yourself correctly and ensuring that you're in a gear where you can quickly jump, get that real quick gap and then hold it. So the idea is you're already going at speed, so your ramp is much shorter and not as steep. It's a quick jump that gets you that gap and then you're holding it a couple hundred meters. This is not a really long sprint. After that, we talked about the tactical sprint, which the tactical is when you're only with a couple folks, you try to put someone else in the front or you're just trying to see who's going to do what. So you'll ease off a lot of times, which will often put you in a over-geared situation. Again, we already talked about that being bad. So that's why we went over that over-gearing situation. So you're going to shift to an appropriate gearing where you can quickly get up to your max, and you have to have a real steep ramp to create that gap, and then you hold it as much as you can. That's much more suited to a real big power sprinter, like those guys who are like Philippe Gilbert. Marianne Vos was one of those. They could generate a lot of power really quickly and get those quick surges and accelerations. vice the Kittle sprinters, who are much more the sprint from speed types, where they're a diesel. They need to be brought up, and once you get them up to speed, their turbo engages. I am neither of those kind of sprinters. I am more of an uphill sprinter. But I've let out many good sprinters. What's that, Chris?
They call that climbing.
Yes, they do. But I've led out many good sprinters, and I've worked for many good sprinters, so I'm kind of like that third string quarterback who doesn't play but watches a lot and learns a lot with the clipboard. That's kind of me on the sprints. All right, let's keep it up to a 3. We're not ready to go yet. Whoops. All right. Again, this is not meant to be a long sprint, so start making sure your gearing is correct. So if you look at right now, I'm at 82 RPMs. We're at 3.0, so it's about what I like. And let's go. Good job, Scuba Steve. That's what I'm talking about. All right, ease it off. Let's spin the legs out.
Thank you, that was great.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for joining, everybody. We'll see y'all next week. I got to figure out what we're doing for Classic. I think we're going to do creating a breakaway next week, because the London Classic is perfect for that. All right, anybody on Discord have any questions about what we went over today? You guys get the bonus of being here, not having to wait for the typing or the rewatching the video.
Number one, how dare you?
How dare I what? I dare to do what I dare to do, Mr. Chris.
That was a good session. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was going to say the context is everything.
Yeah, that's not going to go well for me. You should always beat your child. Hey, sometimes it's needed. I've seen those children before.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually the last week Castelli's sponsoring it for a little bit. They'll be back in the fall, so this is your last chance to win some Castelli swag by finishing the ride. So all y'all who are spending 10 more seconds with us have the chance to win something from Castelli. And then next week it'll just be the ODZ, it'll be the Skills and Drills ride presented by Evil Elf Racing.
Now that's a great opportunity for the laugh.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next week.
All right, Chris. I'll talk to you later. Have a good week.
You too, brother.
All right, so for those of you still on, I'm going to put up the schedule for ODZ's ride for the rest of the week. Thanks for tuning into the stream. And we'll see you later on the week. Tomorrow I'm going to have OD Zwifters running going on, so you can come out and join that. So this is what we have for the rest of the week coming up. We're going to have the TNT race tomorrow, the Thursday Night Throwdown in the feed zone on Friday. We've got the Saturday Showdown on Saturday with, I think we have an ODivas this week. I'll have to double check. Then the Pretzel and the Zentry on Sunday. So come out and join any of those. We also have some OD Zwifters going on. You can check out the Team ODZ Facebook group page for that. And yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thanks a lot for joining in. Hope you enjoyed the ride. We'll see you out there.